Hello everyone, let's begin for 26/7/2018, the Hindu analysis. The first news item, Imran Khan party forges ahead in the Pakistan polls. So this is basically about the Pakistan cricketer who has turned a politician right now, and he's been leading with 105 seats, and his main rival was with the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz with only 71 seats in this election. And this is actually marked by the deadly suicide attack and allegations of manipulations by the powerful military. So this basically with respect to the Pakistan selection which is happening right now, and this particular cricketer who has been turned a politician, he has 105 seats, and his main rival was Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, who has won with 71 seats, and others have got like other rest of it. After the general elections which actually began, the Islamic State suicide bomber, he came outside a polling station in Balochistan provincial and he killing with almost like 31 people including the police structures. So this was only an important thing, apart from that nothing required. So this is about the first news item. The next news item, Sabrimala ban not based on misogyny. So this is basically the prohibition to what Sabrimala temple is being used right now, and they are telling that it was not based on the misogyny but rather on the celibate nature of the deity. So this was being said by one of the senior advocate, and he's telling that for y'all to get clear, celibate means it is a brahmacharism, where Lord Ayappa was in brahmachari and his offerers can also are the ones who would be called as in brahmachari. That was only the context to why the Sabrimala temple has been barring the women, but nothing to do with the misogyny. Misogyny is that just because she is a female, they have been barring them as nothing as such. Just because the Lord Ayappa was a brahmachari, so the practice has been taken out. This is a traditional practice. So this was one of the point which has been brought by the senior advocate, and he also disagreed the court observations, because court in the earlier sentence it said that the article 25 clause 2 subclause B, opening of the temples to the women in the name of the social reform and the welfare, it said that the temples has to open to the women in name of the social welfare and reforms. But here he is telling that the article to what the court referred, it stood against the caste system, as it has nothing to do with the women and also the gender. He said that it is meant to allow the Hindus of all caste weapon against denying the lower caste Hindus into the temple entry, but nowhere it's been mentioned about specifications about the women or its gender. And he also said that it's only the abolition of the caste-based exclusion and not the gender exclusion. So this was a very strong point what Mr. Parasaran, the senior advocate, had posed on, and he also pointed out another article 15 clause 2, which prohibits a discrimination on the basis of the caste, gender, religion, and does not include the religious institution on its list of public places. So if you see what is article 15 clause 2 is that it prohibits a discrimination of any person on the basis of the caste, gender, religion, and particularly with respect to these things. But he is also highlighted that why didn't it is not including the religious institutions on the list of the public places, and these religious institutions are missing from the rather long list of the public places which has been mentioned in the article. And as we discussed earlierly, Lord Ayappa is in the Naishtika Brahmachari, and is also, and his devotees appear to be Brahmachari, he said, and Hinduism is a faith of tolerance and not the discriminatory. So these are the two important articles to what Mr. Parasaran has been justified, and he also disagreed with the article 25 clause 2 subclause B. So this is about it. And Nilgiri mountain train gets a cool new look. So this is with respect to the Nilgiri mountain railway, which figures in UNESCO list of the World Heritage Sites that the Southern Railway seems to prefer pride of to profit, and this is almost like refurbished with 25-year-old coach which promises an uber cool ride for the passengers. So this is about the structure. You have basic informations here, you can just go through them. The next one, death sentence for 2 Kerala policemen. This is with respect to the CBI special court has actually sentenced the death by hanging 2 police officers for torturing to death the person Uday Kumar, who was in custody with respect to the police officers, and we call it as in custodial death, which happened in the year 2005. But right now CBI has been hanging 2 police officers who have been a part of this custodial death, and they are under the capital punishments, and they are retired right now. They are the 2 retired superintendent of police, and 1 serving deputy superintendent is for the 3 years prison. And there is also one thing which was highlighted by the court, that the law enforcers are the protectors of the life and the property and not the death dealers. but the situation to right now what happened is that debt dealers rather than being the protector of life and their properties. So this is about it. VVPAT will be ready for Lok Sabha poll, says the Election Commission. This is like all VVPAT will delivered well within the time required for the preparations ahead of 2019 poll. So we know that Lok Sabha elections would be held in the year 2019, and here the VVPAT is a verifiable vote paper audit trail which would be prepared or which would be ready by the year 2019 before the poll elections. And there was one technical committee on the EVM appointed by the commission to analyze the technological stabilization, and also which had an issue in the initial batches, and now they have been improving and incorporating the best practices and the designs, whichever is essential. And the order for this was being placed in May 2017, and commission placed for almost like 16.15 lakh VVPAT for the PSU manufacturers, that is Bharat Electronics Limited and the Electronics Corporation of India Limited. So this is about it. And the next one, it's not straight to detention centers for those not on NRCs. So we have the Home Ministry had advised Assam that no action to be initiated by the administration or the police based on the draft NRC which would be published on July 30. So they're telling that to whatever is going to be published on the July 30, the National Register of Citizens, here the Ministry of Assam, they've actually warned the administrators and the police there should not be any action taking accompanied with it. And there is no question of referring the person whose name do not figure in the draft NRC to foreign tribunal, as people are entitled to file the claims and objections, and due opportunities has to be given to them before the final publications. So here they are also telling that you shouldn't refer even the persons immediately once the draft NRC is being released to the foreigner tribunal, because immediately you can't do that, and the people are also entitled to file the claims and also get the objection and also get an opportunity to prove themselves before the final publications. So, and here the state government has been asked to issue a clear instruction in this regard to all the administrative and the police functionaries. As per the Supreme Court directions, the Register General of India will publish the final result on July 30 to segregate Indian citizens living in Assam from those who had illegally entered the state from Bangladesh, that is after March 25th, 1971. So in the earlier thing also we discussed that Bangladeshis would be deported on July 30. And the proof of the citizenship, here you have the details. So what gives them the timelines and what is the legacy data and other structures. You can just go through them here. And India proud to partner Africa. This is about the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister has outlined 10 guiding principles for deepening the India's engagement with Africa to help its economic growth and tackle the challenges such as terrorism and also the climate change. So he said that these two nations were connected to each other. That is, Mr. Modi said these two nations were connected to each other by ancient maritime links, dark ages of the colonial rule, and shared the struggle of freedom and uncertain paths as independent countries in a divided world. So they're referring to one another, to what they had in the ancient past and to how they have been sharing the struggle of freedom, and also with respect to the divided world with the independent countries. This is about it. And a few important guiding principles which has been focused on. They want to strengthen our cooperation and mutual capabilities in combating the terrorism and also the extremism, keeping the cyber safe and very secure, supporting the UN in advancing and keeping the peace, very importantly. And they are also working with respect to the African nations to keep the oceans open and free for all benefits of all nations. And he also highlighted that the world needs cooperation and not the competition in the eastern shores of Africa and the Eastern Ocean. That's the Eastern Indian Ocean. So here it's talking about the oceans which has been a part of India and Africa, which share the border out there, and it's about like oceans are open and free, benefits of all nations. And India will also harness his experience with respect to the digital revolution to support the African development, improve the delivery of the public services, and also extend to the education and the health, spreading the digital literacy, expand the financial inclusion, and also mainstream the marginalized and improve the Africa agriculture. So these are the important guiding 10 principles which would be focused on the African nations. So this is about it. So these were the important news items for 26. And question for the day, you have to name the country which is known as the Pearl of Africa. Second, brief on the Registrar General of India, which should be of 20 words. So these are the important news items for 26/7/2018. Thank you.